much for joining my presentation. My name is Indigo Surya. I'm one of the new media specialists at Teaching and Learning Commons. So this project is actually a research project that we did, that I did during my not so intense time, at CADI, or Teaching and Learning Commons. This is about designing an AI-powered assessment evaluation system. So, when we talk about computer-based quizzes, the whole reason why we moved over to computerized quizzes, I mean, if you have used D2L, you know that we can create quizzes within the LMS itself. How it works is basically you create questions with preset answers, and then the student chooses the answer. So this could be a multiple choice question, fill in the blanks, or just match the words, things like that. And what the system does is it just compares the given answer with the preset answer, and then it will provide a preset feedback. We can also make it dynamic, based on the option. There you go. All right. So the pros of using computer-based quizzes is that they're quicker and they can be automated, and that's why we've been using quizzes, I don't know, since 20 years now. Right? So the problem with this is that those are limited to preset answers, and there is no personal feedback. And the biggest challenge, I tried to design when I was developing quiz-based interactive activities. One of the few challenges that we faced, that I faced, was okay, how do I compare this, custom input-based answer to the preset answer? So we've been doing string comparison. There's this thing called string comparison where you try to lowercase everything and try to compare everything. So that's the whole process. But what if we can convert these limited preset answers in a way that we can evaluate essay-based answers without the hassle of trying to compare different options, right? Imagine you're asking a student to write an essay on a subject, and how do you really evaluate it in an automated way, right? And also, at the same time, provide dynamic feedback to this, to the answer of the student. Okay, so before moving to how I did it, I'm just going to go through some groundwork on this. I mean, you already know what large language models are, how AI works, so I'm not going to take the time to explain that. Let's just say that we have the user and we have the large language model. It could be ChatGPT, or it could be Claude, it could be Perplexity, Meta, AI, whatever it is. So the user would ask, "Hello there," and then the LLM would answer. If you've played Oblivion, you know what this is. So, okay, so the LLMs can give you very vague, if you just ask something, it will just give you a very random, that's how the LLMs work. It's not random, but it's not organized, it just gives you the most probable answer to you, and it could give you an answer like this. But we don't want an answer to be like this. So, what we do here is that we want to engineer the prompt. In the previous presentation also, you mentioned about having a context, giving a persona, right, and a task, right? So the persona here is, this is a sample prompt. You are an exam evaluator. Look at this question, the sample answer, grading criteria, and the answer submitted by the student, and provide the comprehensive feedback and a grade out of 10. So this is like the base task, with the persona, and we have the dynamic data, which is the question, the sample answer, the evaluation criteria, and the actual answer of the student, right? So we can do that using ChatGPT, right? So that's pretty easy. So now we want to kind of create a system so that we can automate this, so that it just works. So If we move forward, the LLM would give us an answer like this, right? Oh yeah, my old grand champion. Here is the feedback and rating, 5, and here is the sample feedback. It could also give you an answer looks like this. I mean, this is something that you have seen already, right? Similar answer. But in this case, you can see that the grade is kind of integrated into the feedback, right? It's a sample answer given by an LLM. And there is another way, 5, and sample feedback. So if you take all of these 3 possible responses from the LLM, if you want to create an automated tool for grading, which one would you choose out of these 3? If you say 1, 2, 3. 2? Okay. If you want to create an automated tool to process this information. Alright. Okay, I would say we're going to go ahead with 3 because, so this is going to be another computer that is going to be using this information, right? I'll show you how it works. But it's easier if you have straight up information instead of all the jibber-jabber, right? We don't need an introduction. We just need straight to the point. We can also go a step further and request the LLM to give us the answer like this. So if you see this, you can see that this is pretty much the same output, right? So this output is actually an output from ChatGPT or any LLM, but you can see that this has a bit of a structure, right? It has 2 curly brackets, and inside of it you have the different fields. You have an ID. Let's just say that ID is for the question, and then you have the actual grade or the score, and then the feedback, right? So the LLM will give you the answer like this. So this is called JSON, or we call it JavaScript object notation. So having a structure like this is easier, so that when the LLM provides an output in this structure, we can create an automated tool so that this is going to be an input to that tool. And that can be automated because we already know the structure, we know what to be shown, right? This is the grade and this is the feedback. So ultimately, it's the student who's going to be seeing this information, right? So we are able to create a tool so that we can process this and we can show it to the user in a nicer way. So let's go to the prompt engineering back, and this is a different way of how we can write up this prompt. So you can see that to the left side, you can see the same question, the same sample answer, the same criteria, the same student answer. Now, if you look at the right hand side, so I might take a little while to explain this, you can see the same persona. You're an example where the given question, criteria, minimum and maximum scores, the actual answer, and the answer of the student in JSON format. So JSON format, ChatGPT probably knows what it is, right? So kind of assuming. So now you can see, like in green, we have how the input how the input is going to be. And then we say, okay, now evaluate and provide feedback. Evaluate and respond only in JSON format. So we ask ChatGPT, we ask the LLM, okay, so this is the input that you're going to be getting. You have to respond to me in this format and this format only. No jibber jabber, nothing else, right? It's this format only. And also, just give some other hints like, do not give away or hint the answer directly in the feedback. We don't want that to happen, right? We need some good comprehensive feedback. And then, here is the JSON. And then what you see here, in pink, is going to be the dynamic input. You can see that it has the ID of the question, the sample question, the question itself, minimum and maximum scores, the criteria, sample answer, and at the end, the student's answer, right? So it's a huge chunk of text that goes into ChatGPT. We can even copy and paste this in ChatGPT and ChatGPT would very nicely respond to you with a JSON that looks exactly like this, right? So now, let's talk about the process flow of this. So, first of all, we have a list of questions. So if you're an instructor, you create a list of questions with criteria, with sample answers, and the grade, right? So you can see here, it's a little bit technical. What you see here is, Q1 is actually a question, A1 is the actual answer, and then 0 and 10 are like the range of how you want it to be graded, and then you have the criteria. So you can see it should be applied, in a quiz. You don't have only one question; you have like multiple questions. So everything has to go one after the other. So we have a random number, a set number of questions, and then what we do is we create a quiz generator. So the quiz generator is going to grab this list of questions and properly show it to the student. That's what we do with D2L as well. We have a list of questions, we create the quiz, and then we present it to the student in a nice way, right? So this is the nicer way that the student would see, and then the quiz generator, the quiz generator is actually the student's front end, so it would grab the student's answers, like what you see in pink color, is the student's answer for each of the questions. And then it would put it to a mediator program, right? So what's in blue are like computer programs that I wrote as part of this project. So now the mediator will grab the prompt, the questions, and the answers, and it will generate the prompt. So the big prompt that I showed you before is going to be generated by the mediator by grabbing all the data from the student's answers, the actual questions, the criteria, the other prompts, and it would send it over to the LLM. So we do this not directly typing in ChatGPT. We do it using API integration. We do it, directly underneath the tunnels that are provided by the LLM providers, right? So ChatGPT's API section, you can use OpenAI API to do the very same thing, but not directly via ChatGPT, through programming. And then the LLM would give you the question ID, the grade, and the feedback. Question ID, grade, feedback. Question ID, grade, feedback. So the mediator will send that information back to the student front end, so the student will be able to see the grade and the feedback. Does that make sense? Right. Okay. So I mentioned that we wanted to develop this, the quiz generator and the mediator. So during the research, I actually did build the quiz generator. I used JavaScript, and it has to be a nice front end, so I use React.js to show the questions to the student. And the host is D2L. It's D2L that's hosting this. So if you open up D2L, you're able to. It's the student's front end, right? So you should be able to see it. And then there are other connections. The SCORM API. So we are able to use the SCORM API so that when the LLM gives us feedback with all the grading, the total grade is calculated, and we can directly write it off into the grade book. So we don't have to worry about grabbing students' information. This would automatically do that. So that's a part of the quiz generator. And the mediator itself, it's also written in JavaScript, uses Node.js. The thing is, this is hosted in an external server. It's not a part of D2L. It's hosted somewhere else. In this case, it's in one of my personal computers. And as for the connections, the LLM connection, I use Grok API, not ChatGPT. Grok API is not the Twitter API. It's a different API. And the model that I use is Llama by Facebook or Meta. But you're able to change this to whatever you want. Okay. So without further ado, I will show you a demo. I'll show a video of it, and then if you want more clarification, I can actually show you the code. And okay, so what you see here, this is my sandbox D2L. what you see is the quiz front end, the front end that the students can see. This has been automatically generated by a list of questions that I feed it in to the quiz generator beforehand, right? So you can see there are like 2 questions. My background is computer science, so I added a couple of computer science questions to this. What is the primary difference between RAM and ROM, and what is a deadlock operating system? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste in a couple of answers to this. You can also see the criteria. And for the second question, and then I'm going to click submit answers, which is going to send all of this information into the mediator, and the mediator will send this information to the LLM and will return a response. And there you go. So what you see here is the grading, 25 out of 50 for the first one. It's a little bit of a harsh evaluator. And then 18 out of 50 for the first one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh it, and I'm going to place a more comprehensive answer, rather than just a single line of single sentence. This is a more comprehensive answer, so the copy and paste it. You can see, it properly explains the difference between the RAM and ROM, and then for the second one, it's longer and kind of explains it, in more detail. Submit the answers, and there you go. 48 out of 50 with some good, good personalized feedback at the bottom of each question. And then you got a total score of 93. As I said, it's a very harsh evaluator. If it's me, I would have given like 100 out of 100, for an answer like this. I can also just type in some random stuff. I don't know, and then you submit answers, and I would definitely give you 0 because you don't have, you didn't submit a good answer.
Yeah, non-committal.
Yeah. So this is how it works, and if I go to the gradebook, I can actually show you the grading that everybody got. I own this course, so my score is not actually put into the gradebook, but I had my colleagues do the submit, and they had it populated in their gradebook. So in terms of the observations and next steps, so the feedback that gets generated totally depends on the AI model that we're using. So in this case, you can see a part of the code that I did. You can see that the model is Llama 3.1 8B instant. So usually instant models are smaller in size. It gives you the response quicker, but not very, how would I say? The response is quicker, but it's not polished. But you can change the model to a GPT-4o or any new Gemini model that takes a little bit of time, but more it explains more and more intuitive, closer to an actual human feedback. And then also, as a part of the next step, it would be nice to have a dashboard or kind of a creator authoring tool like this, rather than me just writing a bunch of questions in a text file and then feeding into the quiz generator, so that anybody will be able to create a quiz like this. And also, as I said, the mediator is currently hosted in my domain. So if this is to be a widely used platform, it would be nice to have some proper infrastructure, proper hosted platform, so that we can use it for all of our courses. Alright, so thank you very much. So if you want to reach out to me or to the digital learning team at Teaching and Learning Commons, feel free to scan this or send me an email. I'm also happy to share the code. So currently it's not open source, but thank you very much.